As a healthcare provider who helps care for people that are sick and suffering, it can be difficult to take extended time off of work because you feel like you have this opportunity to help people that are sick and need the help, but you're taking time away and you're not helping them when they need help. I'm sure there's a term for this that is out there, but one of the ways to get around this feeling is to do something called volunteerism. Volunteerism is this term that you basically volunteer and help the community where you go visit. So you're touring a new place at the same time you're offering your services to help others. So one way to continue to use one's skills and services to help others is through mission trips. So in this video, I'll talk about what we did in the mission trip, and I'll also talk about how service trips like this are helpful for one's mental health, not only for my own mental health, but also for others as well. And there are several types of mission trips out there. I chose this one in particular because it was people from a similar background that I have, as far as similar faith background. It also coincided with my schedule, and they had an advertisement that they needed help in particular with mental health services. So it was a good opportunity to use my unique gifts and talents to help others, as well as see a new area. So there was a nonprofit organization in the Philippines that helped to coordinate the schedule, such as help coordinate the clinics and the teaching opportunities that I had to local university students or people at the clinic. So there was a medical and dental clinic as well as a psychiatry clinic. And so while patients were waiting in the waiting room for the medical and dental clinics, oftentimes I would be there giving talks for them about general mental health stuff. I'd answer their questions. For example, a common question was, is anxiety and depression the same or different? And you can look at my previous videos. I have videos and playlists that talk about anxiety and depression. There's also questions about insomnia and sleep problems. I also have videos out about those. And there's also a question about how to deal with others that are sick or ill, such as close family members or friends. And this can be a little bit tricky because sometimes people have the right or the autonomy to decline treatment, or they don't see that they're sick. So basically what you can do as if someone close to you is sick or ill, just encourage them to take their medications as prescribed, encourage them to go to their appointments. If they're at imminent risk to themselves or others, such as having thoughts of suicide, thoughts of killing others, or they're so negatively impacted by their mental health that they cannot care for themselves, at least in California, you could admit them to a psychiatric hospital against their will, such as by calling 911 and having EMS or the police evaluate, or by just taking them to the emergency room directly and they can get transferred to a psych hospital there if they meet the criteria. Basically, I had to work closely with the locals to help translate and to educate. So each day, as part of the group I went, we'd spend time together to pray and reflect at 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. This was led by a priest who was also on the service trip, and he would help to lead the reflection and pose questions for reflection. The morning and evening prayer was a tradition that started in Old Testament times during the Israelites, and it's often practiced in Christian worship nowadays. And so after the morning prayers, we'd go out about our various days in the clinics, whether it's a medical, dental, psychiatry clinic. I ended up having to see a few medical problems as well as help answer those questions about anxiety, depression, and so it was oftentimes answering those question answers in which people realized that maybe they were suffering from a mental health issue, and so afterwards they would come and see me in the clinic, and so I'd prescribe medications for them. There's a pharmacy on site in which people had medications that they donated to the pharmacy, so people didn't actually have to pay for their medications. They could just get it directly from the pharmacy. Because also I heard oftentimes that the medications were too expensive often for the locals to purchase on their own. Also, the hospitalizations are too expensive, so people will often avoid going to the hospital or seeking medical care just because they can't afford it. So during the mission trip, I also gave talks to the church congregation about honesty, the importance of having a good, close relationship with God. Your thoughts are going to affect your feelings, are going to affect your behaviors. So the more understanding, the more accurate perspective you have on life, on trusting that God sees all your situation, it's going to help you be filled with comfort, with peace, and your behaviors are going to follow. When you go through difficult times and you trust God, it's going to also help during those difficult times. An example I gave for them in particular was about Joseph in the Old Testament, who went through really difficult times in his life. yet he remained close in his relationship with God, and that helped him persevere. Ended up being the right-hand man to the king of Egypt, or Pharaoh, which is like being the right-hand man to the leader of the world. With the local psychology students, I gave a talk about some of the things I ask for in an evaluation, including paying particular attention to the spiritual and cultural aspects of someone's life, because those can help or be hindrances to people seeking mental health care. Also, one of the common problems in the Philippines, from my understanding, was being exposed to abuse and trauma, in particular sexual trauma. So this was addressed not only from a psychiatric perspective, but also from even a spiritual perspective about one's core belief and one's core identity. Because no matter what the circumstances are that people can go through in life, it's really knowing your true identity, that you are made in the image of God and in His likeness, that's going to help you to persevere through some of the difficult times in your life, along with perhaps seeking mental or medical care when it's needed. So we also took time during the day to go to local houses or communities where we talk with people at their homes, talk about spiritual stuff, maybe talk about the Bible together, pray together. And so now I would just like to summarize some of the fruits of the trip. So by helping others, I'm really helping myself. It's a form of altruism, and I talk about altruism in other videos, but it's this notion that when you help others, you're really getting a sense of appreciation and gratitude for yourself. Yeah, I took time away from my work, my schedule to help others, but it gave me an opportunity to really appreciate what I have in the United States, all the opportunities that the United States brings me. It also helps me appreciate the gifts that God gave me, the gifts that He gave me to help others, to go through medical school, go through residency, have good enough health and energy to use these services to help others. It also gave me an opportunity to bond with people on the trip, a good fellowship or connection with, and really it just inspires myself and others to live more fruitful lives. Also, the morning and evening worship, as well as the liturgical practices that we practice during the time there, it's an example of ascetic worship, and asceticism is also a healthy way to deal with some of life's challenges or stressful events. When you reflect on how much God does for you, how much He loves humanity, how much He's helped people with suffering, it really, again, helps me to put things into perspective and to maybe ignore some of the things that I really get sad about or frustrated about, but just trust that, everything is in God's hands, and I really don't have much to worry about when I trust in God fully. Of course, this notion about all work and no play would be a bit taxing. So we did take some time to visit some of the areas, go to restaurants. They have a lot of malls in the Philippines, including the biggest mall in Asia. I believe it's called the Mall of Asia, and they had the FIBA World Cup playing there. So unfortunately on our day off, we couldn't see Team USA play, but we were able to see Luka Doncic play for Slovenia, so that was kind of cool. So I guess in summary, life can be difficult sometimes, but prayer, fellowship, worship, serving others can really help, not only to serve them, but also to help oneself. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video for more videos like this one.